Hi guys, how are we doing? And welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be stepping a little bit away from the arts and crafts, away from the books, and we are coming into my kitchen. I am going to be taking you through a recipe, a very simple, quick and healthy recipe that you can do with your children for lunch or for dinner, that is fully customizable and that you can modify to suit your needs. Obviously there are going to be some ingredients in here that you might not be able to use if you have certain dietary restrictions, but obviously if you do have those dietary restrictions, then I'm sure that you know there are alternative ingredients that you can use to replace the ones that I will be using along the way. Right, there's something slightly missing, so I need to get changed. There we go, that's more appropriate. I'm in my chef sweats. Alright guys, without further ado, let's start cooking. Let's make some pizzas. So we're going to be making some pizza bases, and then you can obviously place whichever toppings you want on top of those pizzas depending on your taste. Now the pizza base I'm going to make does not require yeast. We are going to be replacing yeast with baking powder purely because I don't have any. Obviously if you have yeast at home, then you can find a recipe that uses yeast instead. So you're going to need a simple selection of ingredients for the base itself. First ingredient, you are going to need some flour. Flour can obviously be substituted for rice flour or for an alternative if you have dietary requirements that prevent you from being able to use flour within your cooking. You're then going to need some oil. Now I'm using rapeseed oil, but you can use olive oil, you can use standard vegetable oil. It is really up to you. You're then going to need some sea salt. Again, table salt will be fine, but the better the quality salt, the better. And finally, for this recipe, you are then going to need some baking powder. And the last ingredient, some water. Now, as with all good cooks, we want to make sure that this process is smooth. So we need to make sure that we are preheating the oven. If you have a standard oven, make sure that you put the temperature to 200 degrees. If you have a fan assisted oven, 180, and if it's in gas mark, make sure it's on gas mark 6. So now we have our ingredients, the oven is preheating. All we need to do now is to measure out and to weigh out our ingredients, to put them all together and to knead them to form a nice pizza dough. Okay guys, so you should now have all of your ingredients nicely in a bowl. You should have 350 grams of flour, 170 mils of water, 2 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt. Now all you need to do is mix it together to form a nice dough. Voila! And there you should have it, a nice ball of dough. Now sometimes when you first start off kneading your dough, you may find it is a bit dry. Before adding extra liquid into it, really work it for between 3 to 5 minutes to really make sure that everything is well mixed together, because you will probably find that if you bear with the process and you bear with the kneading and you really work it through nicely for a few minutes, it will come through into a nice dough, which is exactly what I've done. Now obviously if you want to make a really big pizza, you can get a rolling pin, or you can just use your hands and you can turn this into a square, circle, triangle. You can cut it into funky shapes, whatever you wish. But in my case, I am just eating this, will just be eating this by myself. So I will just need to cut it into 2 balls, like so. One I can save for later, or alternatively, you could make that a sweet pizza as a dessert. You could put some fruit on it, you could put some sort of chocolate spreads on it, some marshmallows, but for me I'm going to save that one for later, which leaves you with one pizza dough ready to be kneaded out. Okay guys, so now I have cleared my work surface, I have my small piece of dough. This is really a case of getting your surface and spreading your dough out to make your pizza. Now obviously, as I said, you can make a square pizza, you can make a circular pizza, or you can make lots of little pizzas. It's totally up to you really. I personally prefer a flatter, thinner base, which has a little bit more crisp to it, so I'm going to make mine a little bit thinner, but obviously if you want that thicker crust, then you just make sure that you don't push it out so thin. I'm not going to tell you a specific thickness because it really is up to you and your taste. So now it's just a case of making this into a pizza base. Alright, so I have now got my nice circular-ish pizza base ready to go. I used a rolling pin. With these bases, they are going to obviously try and suck themselves back into each other. That's just what happens when you knead it. You've kneaded it into a nice dough. As you're doing it, make sure you flip it over both sides, make sure it is as even as possible, and again, try to resist the amount of flour you put on your rolling pin, if any at all. I have not needed to use any on this occasion. The more flour you add to your rolling pin into the surface just means the drier this is going to be. So now all I need to do is find a baking tray for it. If you have a circular pizza tray, even better, and then you can start to put your toppings on your pizza. There we have it guys, voila! I have now got my pizza fully topped and ready to go. Now the toppings that you put on your pizza are totally up to you. I have started with a barbecue base, I love barbecue base, but if you want to go for a standard tomato base, that is also absolutely fine. Now I've not created my own barbecue sauce, but feel free, if you want to feel extra creative, create your own. I just used a standard bottle of barbecue sauce from my cupboard. I then added some pepperoni, some spicy pepperoni. I added some chopped up red bell pepper, some green olives, and then I sprinkled on a bit of mozzarella. The mozzarella is the cheese that will go lovely and stringy when it is cooked, and it will also brown on top, so fear not. And then I finished it off with some green herbs and a few sprinklings of chilies, crushed chilies. This is then going to go into the oven for about 15 minutes, but my suggestion is keep an eye on it because everyone's idea of a perfectly cooked pizza is going to be different. So I'm going to put mine in the oven now, wait, and then I will have my lunch. Now I've just got the fun job of tidying everything and cleaning everything up. There we go. Okay, so the pizza has been in the oven around 15 to 17 minutes. The cheese is browning and the crust looks good, so it's about time we take it out. Make sure you got your oven glove on. Oh. And there we have it. So as you can see, let me get some focus. Look at that. Now to carve this bad boy up. Right, don't forget guys, this will be scalding hot, so be really careful when you are taking your pizza off its tray. I'm going to need a spatula. And off it comes. Now, make sure you cut it carefully as well. And go. Right, this is the moment of truth. Let's see how good this pizza is. pretty damn good. Alright guys, so there we have it. We have some fresh homemade pizza from the dough all the way through to the toppings. This is a great little exercise that you can do with your children, a fantastic activity to get you in the kitchen and thinking about healthier eating choices. Obviously, you can add a whole variety of different vegetables to this. You can really customize it how you wish. My suggestion is don't just eat this as it is. You can get some condiments for it. You can get a little side salad. You can really make some all sorts, sweet potato fries, chips, anything like that. Add some rice with it as well if you want. I know that sounds like a bit of a bizarre option, but it is an option nonetheless. So now it's your time. Get in the kitchen, make up some masterpieces. Get that Italian out and cook some fresh homemade pizza. Alright guys, I am going to leave this video here because it's lunchtime and I want to get tucked straight into my pizza. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please don't forget, send me any pictures that you've got of your homemade pizzas and I hope you have fun cooking. Alright, I will see you next time. Bye!